Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willowbound Journals, and I am continuing this series where I'm making a journal from start to finish for a mental health challenge, giveaway, fundraiser. Doing this the whole year basically, where I am sharing about my own mental health journey through these videos, and also through this project raising money for Beyond Blue and for a book that I'm publishing this year. So Beyond Blue is an organisation in Australia that helps with depression, anxiety and suicide, and the book I'm doing is for my own well-being and mental health, but also a way for me to share my struggles through a visual memoir. And my hope is that anyone who picks up this book and reads it will find comfort and safety in it and know they're not alone in their own struggles. The giveaway for this journal is now closed, but you can still be part of this fundraiser by donating crafty items that will be made into $10 mystery packs. The last time we did this, 40 ladies from around the world donated and 100 packs were sold, which was amazing. Feel free to email me for my address, or you can donate directly to Beyond Blue or my book fundraiser. All the links to that are below in the description box. So while I'm sharing my process of making this journal, I am sharing some of my journey with mental health, and in the first video I started by sharing some fears that stop people from talking about their struggles and how to respond and not respond when people do talk, just to start us off as an introduction. Then in the second video I shared about my struggle with existence and how I've always had phases of depression and anxiety that were just part of the ups and downs of life and my natural temperament. In the third video I shared what depression and anxiety was like for me when I had it clinically, when I went through it back in 2015 and 16, and just about what I learnt from that experience. In the fourth video, I shared about what helped me through anxiety. In the fifth video, I shared about acceptance commitment therapy, ACT, which is one of the biggest tools that helped me through both anxiety and depression. And in this video, I want to share about another one of my struggles that probably contributes towards my tendency with depression and anxiety. And it's all about schema therapy. So we're going to get into some psychological talk here. And I'm going to share about my schemas and what I learned about them through my favorite podcast, Psychology in Seattle. So if you want to know about schema therapy properly, go to there. It's actually available to patrons. I'm a lifelong patron of theirs, and I loved listening to their deep dive on schema therapy and learned so much from it. So if you want to hear it firsthand, go to that deep dive yourself, and I'll link below their YouTube channel, which has all the links to their Patreon and everything like that as well. And so this is just going to be my paraphrased interpretation of what I got out of their deep dive on schema therapy. So I could probably get details wrong, and this is just all from memory and what spoke to me. So yeah, like I said, do your own research, but here's what helped me. Basically, in this theory, everyone is born with certain needs, things like a need for safety, a need for discipline, a need for attachment, and so on. And when these needs aren't met, people can develop schemas, which is deeper than a worldview. So a schema is an ingrained way of seeing the world that can't be shaken by mere facts, because it comes from a lived experience. So head knowledge doesn't change the felt experience that people are going through. And none of us in life ever gets all our needs met. Even the best parents aren't going to meet every need that a kid has, because every person is limited. Every person has their own personality and values and way of seeing and doing things that is naturally just going to clash with others. Even with the best intentions, it's still going to clash and not meet people where they're at. So, for example, if someone grew up in an unsafe household or country due to abuse or war, then this person's need for safety is unmet, and they may develop a schema that the world isn't a safe place. And once this schema sets in, and it's all subconscious, by the way, this isn't like a choice that we do, it's all subconscious, a way to organize and see the world and cope with the world. So it's not anyone's fault for developing a schema. But once the schema sets in, people can further develop coping or further defense mechanisms to deal with the way that they see the world and how they see themselves. And there are three ways this could go. There's overcompensation, there's avoidance, and surrender. So again, with this example of a person who has the schema that the world isn't a safe place, they could surrender by doing everything they can to be safe to an obsessive level, and maybe perhaps an irrational level. They could avoid by never leaving the house. For example, they don't want to do anything that's dangerous or possibly risky at all. They might not drive a car, for example. Or they could overcompensate by living recklessly and, just diving into dangerous situations all the time. Usually, I think people gravitate towards one method, but all three can be at play too in one person. So there are 18 schemas, and I know that is quite a lot, and there is a questionnaire you can take to find out your schemas, and I'll link it below. When I took this questionnaire, at first I was worried that I was going to have all of the schemas, because pretty much I had all of the first ones, and I was worried. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so screwed up. But then I found out that there are schemas I definitely don't have. And there were quite a few that I didn't, I had maybe a little bit, but not really at all. And this reassured me that, there were some needs in my life that were definitely met. And there were some areas of my life, things that are going well. And we'll all probably have a combination of various schemas, but generally I think one or two will stand out for each person. And this is the case for me. So first of all, I definitely don't have the schemas of the world is an unsafe place, or the schema of I am incompetent. I tend to believe people are good and that life always works out. And I've always been a bit of a high achiever, a bit of an overachiever. So it's never been a problem for me that I can't do things. But my main schema, my big main one is the defective schema. And the second one that I have is social isolation. So basically, defectiveness for me means I believe I am a bad person, there's something wrong with me, I'm unlovable, and if people really knew me, they wouldn't like me and they would reject me. And social isolation for me means that I believe I'm different, that I don't belong and will never fit in, and that I'll always be alone. So you can see how having these two schemas would lead to me having a tendency towards moments of depression and anxiety where my thoughts say, I'm the worst, everyone hates me, and there's not even any point of me being in the world. And if I were to manage my schemas by surrendering, I might do this by making people reject me by maybe, showing up late, doing a bad job, being unreliable, but that's not the direction I went in, definitely not. I could avoid by not being around people and not taking on roles and responsibilities so I can't let people down, and I do that one to a certain extent, but the coping mechanism that I use is definitely the overcompensating, where I tried to be perfect, I tried to please people and, show people how perfect I am so that they can't see how bad I am. I overcompensated. And that actually worked for me for the first 28 years of my life. But then in 2015 and 16, it came crashing down. And no matter what I did, I couldn't please people, it felt like. And that's when I had my years of clinical depression and anxiety. And what it did, it basically forced me to look at my core beliefs, to address them and to do something about them, to change them. I had to discover that my worth and identity didn't come from what I did or how people saw me. And for me, it came from a belief of, my image is made in the image of God, and that He loves me, and that what He thinks of me is more important than what other people think of me. And, that's just my journey. But while I moved on from that stage of my life of clinical depression and anxiety and those unhelpful core beliefs, I still have my struggles, and some of them come from these lingering schemas. I'm doing better with them. I'm working at them to shift them, but that's just my schemas. That's my unconscious schemas that have developed through the way life has just gone for me. And again, it's not anyone's fault necessarily. I don't blame anyone. It's just how life happened for me, and my child brain subconsciously came to these schemas and these strategies. The great news is that they are all curable. Every schema is curable with corrective experiences, because it makes sense. If you've had experiences that led to these beliefs forming, these schemas, then if you have the opposite experiences, then they can change. Your beliefs can change. And this is why it doesn't come down by basic fact and people saying, hey, the world is safe, now be safe, now feel safe. It's like, no, you can't make someone feel safe by telling them something, by giving them facts. It's through having them feel it and live through a safe situation where they're like, oh, okay, this is showing me that the world is actually safe in this very moment right here. But it can take a long time, and it has to take repeated, in this example, safe experiences for that shift to happen. So that's why I say, just be gentle with people. It's not a matter of just being like, oh, get up and do this, or change your beliefs, just get over it. It doesn't happen like that. It would be great if it did, but it takes, it can take therapy, it can take long years and much time of these experiences. We have to experience it, and that's what therapy does. That's what the therapeutic relationship can be for, is to have those corrective experiences. And there's no quick fix. It would be great if we could, but with people it takes time, it takes being gentle with them, it takes being understanding and compassionate and really walking through with them. And it's just this lived experience, all about that, corrective experiences. And yeah, love it. So anyway, the whole reason why I'm sharing this overall though is just to be open about some of the struggles that I have, in particular with these schemas. Just to let you know that we all have struggles. You might not have the same schemas that I have, although I'm guessing that quite a few of you do. But if you don't have this schema, you have a different schema. No one's not going to have none of these schemas, basically. And that's okay. We don't have to hide them. There's nothing wrong with us that we have schemas. It doesn't make us bad people, and we're not alone in them, which is what I would have thought previously. I would have thought, gosh, I'm the only person who feels defective. So many people feel like they're defective. And I used to feel guilty and pressured to be perfect, because I thought people would be like, what do you mean you feel defective? Like, how dare you feel defective? But people do. And something that really reassures me is that Bob, one of the co-hosts of Psychology in Seattle, he talks about, his experiences, and I believe it is a defective schema, and if it's not defective schema, it matches up with that anyway. And the experiences he talks about and the feelings that he has, I can very much relate. And it's like, oh man, one, I'm not alone, and two, he is a therapist. He is helping people, even with his schemas. And that's what I want to say as well. Our struggles don't mean that we are just a waste of society or whatever, a waste of human being, because our schemas and our struggles, whatever they are, they don't stop us from bringing good into the world. They don't stop us from helping others. And in fact, often it's our struggles. That's where we can help most, because that's where we have understanding and greater compassion for people in their struggles. And I love that. I love that so much. Our struggles never disqualify us from bringing good or helping people, and that they actually qualify us to bring good and help people in those situations. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. I'm going to write that down as a quote. They don't disqualify us, they qualify us. And if we can just have that shift in mindset, that helps me. That helps me go, I don't care if I never get rid of these schemas, because if they can help me help others who have these schemas, then that's such a good thing. And not that it's a mutually exclusive thing. Yes, I'm still going to continue working on this, but I am okay with them. I'm okay with my struggles. I'm at peace with my struggles. They can be there forever. because I know they don't change the fact that I can help people and bring good in the world. And that's my aim. It's not going to be everyone's aim. I'm happy for me, in my own journey, I've come to a realization that even if I suffer for the rest of my life, which I will, everyone's going to suffer, but there's some sufferings that we don't need that are actually things that we can change. Some that we can't, some we have no control over, but some suffering we do have a little bit of control over. But I am okay with my suffering because my goal in life is not to not suffer. My goal in life is to help people. My goal in life is to make the world a better place, like Psychology in Seattle says, like Kirk says. My goal in life is to bring good into the world. And that means the struggles don't need to go away. If my struggles mean I can actually help people more, then bring them on. So that's my goal. It's not going to be everyone's goal. And if that's totally okay too. It's just about, getting in connection with yourself, finding what is your values, what works for you, and all that kind of thing. But anyway, all to say, struggles are okay. Let's talk about them. We don't need to hide them. They don't make us bad people. We're not alone in them. Therapists have struggles. They don't stop us from being helpful or useful. And, I actually relate to Bob a lot in that way. Like, I feel like he has that kind of mentality as well. As long as I'm useful, he talks a lot about Butler syndrome. As long as I can help people, then I have purpose, then I have function. That's enough for me. I mean, it's not everything, but it's enough. And that's where I'm at with my peace in my own life. Anyway, so I hope everyone finds that peace, whatever that peace looks like for you in your own struggles. And let's talk about them. We're not alone. Let's use them to help others if that's something you want to do. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I hope that was encouraging. Maybe you want to check out your schemas. It might not resonate with you, but if it does, I'll leave the link below to that schema questionnaire, and just Google schema therapy. There's a lot out there. Some websites are more helpful than others, so that's why I say just Google it, because you might find a different website that helps you. If it's something you're interested in, there's a lot of information out there. Go check out Psychology in Seattle. Their podcast is wonderful. It's been so helpful for me, so encouraging, so comforting, so reassuring, very healing as well in my own life. And so go check them out. I love being a patron of theirs. So good. If you want to share any of your schemas or any of your struggles in the comments, or just email me. Let's have that conversation, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys. Thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in January. If you would like to become a patron in February, and the link is down below, and that is where you get access to extra videos, all my printables, all my digital kits in my Etsy. There are post tiers, mail tiers, and journal tiers as well. There is a Marco Polo tier and just lots of fun stuff over there. There is also a link to all of my available courses down below in the description box. You can join those anytime for all of my Patreon and courses. They're monthly subscriptions that work just like Netflix or Spotify, and you're charged on the date that you sign up, and you can cancel anytime.